In ancient Rome, they called it panem et circenses, bread and circuses. Keep the people fed, keep them entertained, and they'll never ask the questions you'd rather they didn't ask. It worked then, and some people would tell you it's working now, that the World Cup is just the Colosseum with a bigger broadcast deal. That football is how the powerful keep the powerless too busy feeling things to think clearly about anything. And while they're not entirely wrong about the strategy, they've mistaken the tool for the need. Because the crowds didn't fill those arenas because Rome told them to. They filled them because something in them was already hungry for exactly what the arena offered. That hunger, that's the more interesting story. On a normal Monday, your emotional life operates at a kind of flat baseline. Not sad, not happy, just present. And the strange thing about being human is that you can't simply decide to feel something different. You can't choose euphoria. You can't will yourself into suspense. You can't manufacture the feeling of being connected to thousands of people at once just because you think it would be nice. Those states don't respond to willpower. They have to be triggered by something outside you. Psychologists have a way of describing this. The idea that humans use external objects and rituals to access emotional states that they can't reach on their own. Not as a weakness, as a design. We were built this way. The more interesting question is, why? Here's something most people don't realize about football. The goals aren't what makes it exciting. The possibility of a goal is. There's a specific feeling in a stadium before kickoff. 50,000 people sitting with the same question hanging over all of them. What's about to happen? Nobody knows. And that not knowing is doing something your body registers before your mind does. Neuroscientists studying reward and anticipation found something quietly unsettling. The brain responds more intensely to uncertain rewards than to guaranteed ones. And not slightly more, dramatically more. Which means football isn't exciting despite the uncertainty, it's exciting because of it. You're not watching a sport, you're feeling a part of your brain that evolved to be lit up by the possibility of something good happening at any moment. And then your country scores, and something moves through the crowd before you've even processed what happened. You're on your feet, you're grabbing someone you've never met, making a sound you don't normally make. And you look around and everyone is feeling the same thing at exactly the same second. That specific feeling of being one person dissolved into something much larger is genuinely rare. Most of us go weeks, shoot, even years without it. Then VAR intervenes. The stadium holds its breath. 50,000 people watching the same screen, waiting for the same verdict. Offside. The goal is gone. And what happens in the seconds after is almost impossible to describe to someone who hasn't felt it. That particular plummet from the top of something back to ordinary. In 4 minutes, you've traveled through more emotional territory than most of your week will offer. There's always someone in the room who looks at all of this and shakes their head. It's just a game, 22 people chasing a ball, a grown adult in tears because a stranger missed a penalty. Oh, he thinks he's seeing it so clearly. But watch what he does on Friday night. He puts headphones on and disappears into an album for 40 minutes. Or sits in a dark room and lets a film move him in ways he'd never admit to in public. Or runs, not because he has to, but because something about the rhythm of it takes him somewhere his ordinary week doesn't. He's doing the same thing, just with different packaging. The football fan found his way to that place through a stadium. The cynic found his through headphones. And the person who judges both of them found theirs through something else entirely. We all use something external to get to somewhere internal. That's not irrational, that's how feeling works. Here's where it gets genuinely strange. Modern life is, by almost every measurable standard, the most comfortable humans have ever been. Safer, warmer, better fed, less threatened than any generation before us. And yet, something has quietly disappeared. For most of human history, life came with built-in rituals. Harvests, ceremonies, seasonal gatherings, moments where entire communities stopped what they were doing and felt something together. Not because they chose to, because the structure of life demanded it. Those rituals weren't entertainment. They were emotional infrastructure. They gave people regular access to something modern life has made increasingly rare. The experience of feeling something large alongside other people. Slowly, without anyone deciding it should happen, those rituals eroded, and then something else appeared. The stadium, the concert hall, the cinema, the festival. Not designed to replace what was lost, but replacing it anyway. The sociologist Emil Durkheim spent his life studying why humans gather, and he noticed something that cut across every culture, every era, every belief system. When people come together around a shared experience, something moves through the group that cannot be produced alone. He called it collective effervescence. That electricity that runs through the crowd when thousands of people are feeling the same thing at exactly the same moment. Football produces it reliably. So does a concert, a protest, a wedding, a funeral, a room full of strangers laughing at exactly the same second. We keep building new ways to produce that feeling because something in us keeps needing it. The interesting thing isn't that we need it. The interesting thing is that we've needed it for as long as we've existed. And we've always found a way to get there. When someone buys a match ticket, they think they're buying football. When someone books a concert, they think they're buying music. When someone pays to sit in a dark room and watch something that frightens them, they think they're buying a story. None of them are wrong exactly, but none of them are buying what they think they're buying either. They're buying a feeling. The particular suspense of not knowing, the relief of resolution, the warmth of being surrounded by people who are, for this one moment, all the same. The activity is the vehicle, the feeling is the destination. And once you see that, you realize that football and cinema and concerts and the morning run and the art gallery on a quiet Sunday afternoon, they're all doing the same thing. Giving people access to emotional states ordinary life doesn't reliably produce. The product was never the match. The product was always the feeling. After the final whistle, something quiet happens. People walk out of the stadium back into the ordinary world. The feeling fades, the week resumes. And most of them will never sit down and think carefully about what just happened. How completely they were taken over, how far they traveled inside 90 minutes. They won't analyze it, they won't try to name it. They'll just say they love football. And next week they'll go back. Here's the thing about that forgetting. It isn't accidental. If people fully understood what they were doing, if they examined too closely the mechanics of why it moves them, what need it's meeting, what it says about the emotional texture of their ordinary lives, the spell would break. The magic of any ritual depends partly on not pulling it apart, on agreeing collectively not to look too hard. That's the forgetting. Not ignorance, a kind of necessary suspension. The willingness to walk into the machine knowing somewhere that it is a machine, and choosing for 90 minutes not to care. We built the stadiums. We fill them week after week with people who are really looking for something that has nothing to do with football. Connection, intensity, the feeling of being briefly, completely alive. Every time we walk into a stadium, or put on a film, or lose ourselves in a song, we make a quiet, unspoken agreement. Not to ask too many questions, not to examine why we need this, not to think too hard about what it says about the rest of our lives, that 90 minutes of a football match can reach parts of us that ordinary days never do. We agree to forget all of that, and just feel it. Because some things only work if you don't look at them too closely. We always came for the feeling, we just find it easier not to say so.